Welcome to our Run Club, the podcast where we talk about all things running, right?
Yes.
What episode are we on, Ray? 28?
This is 28.
28.
Yeah.
Man, time flies, right?
When you're having fun, we're getting up there for sure. You caught me mid-sip.
That's for sure.
You know, these hydro flasks really keep your water nice.
They really do.
Love that.
They really do. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about traveling for races.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So we had a podcast a few episodes back where we talked about traveling and running.
Yeah.
And so today we're getting a little bit more specific.
More specific about races, like if you're going to go to a destination, you're going to race.
Yes.
We're going to talk about that.
And for those of you who are watching on video, you'll see there is a guest here.
Yes.
Who has traveled a ton for races. So we thought we'd bring her on. This is Katie. If you want, you can talk a little bit about yourself, just for like a couple minutes, give them some little background on you, and then we'll get into our topic at hand.
All right, I'm Katie. I am a member of New England Distance, so it's a post-collegiate running team in the area. And I've been working here at the Roadrunner for the past 5 years now.
Yeah.
First podcast.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's momentous.
How about your running? What did you do in college? Did you run in high school? All that stuff?
Oh, yeah. So I started running when I was 10, and I haven't stopped.
Nice.
Ran all through high schools on a pretty competitive high school team in New Jersey. I ran at Shippensburg University for college. And then when I graduated, I moved right up here to join New England Distance, and I've been kind of training full-time ever since.
Wow,
Trying to see what I can do.
Like a lifelong runner.
Yes.
That's
I don't know if I can ever stop.
I know, right? It's one of those things you just get
It's like, it's
just
hard.
get into it.
It's
And
part
then,
of life.
Like I took a couple of weeks off after I had the little baby, and then like now I'm like getting back into it, and like I don't know, it just feels like natural.
Yeah.
You know, like my natural state
Yeah.
to be like slightly sore.
Just feel pretty good.
Right.
Like,
Kind of tired.
And
Kinda
fatigued
tired.
all the time. It's
It's just like how I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree.
So to talk about traveling for races, I did put the word out to some of our social media platforms.
Yes.
And I got two stories I'd like to share. I got a bunch of stories, but two that are kind of related. So both involve either the person or someone in the race forgetting shoes, which is always my biggest
It's a
fear.
nightmare.
It's common. It's very common.
Like showing up,
Just forget.
you're like 2 minutes before the race, and you go to put on your running shoes, and they're not there. It's like the worst
Stomach
thing
just
ever.
drops.
It's like one of your key pieces of equipment. And
Yeah.
Oh man, brutal. But anyway, so one of them had forgotten their shoes at like a race in like just a couple hours away in like Massachusetts, and she's in Rhode Island. So I think what she ended up doing, she got to the race, looked down, oh no, I don't have my shoes. Went to like a local running store, purchased shoes, and then ran the race. Like she had enough time, luckily, to kind of at least get a pair of shoes on her feet. Which I think that's one of my hot tips for when you're traveling, to find a local running store, just in case you need something.
Yep. Before you go.
Before you go.
Right, so.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
And then the other story that I thought was crazy was the Mount Washington road race.
Yeah.
You run up a mountain, which is madness.
There's only one hill in that race.
There's only one.
But it's 7-point-something miles long.
Yeah, and it's terribly steep.
It's terribly steep.
So the woman overheard the eventual race winner had forgot her shoes, and some lady in the crowd was like, "Oh, hey, what shoe size are you?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm like an 8 or whatever." And the lady took the shoes off her feet, gave it to the eventual winner of the Mount Washington
That's
race.
amazing.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah, it is nuts.
And the lady likes to joke that her shoes won the Mount Washington.
So she should have got some of the prize money as well.
She should have, for sure, at least like a 10%.
But now I
That's
heard.
the cool thing about running community, though.
Yeah, that's
Right?
Yes.
true.
It's like,
Everybody's so
here's my
friendly,
shoes.
right? She's probably like, you look really fast,
Yeah.
and you might
You need
win.
these.
You need shoes more than I do, so let's do this.
I heard you came down with a really bad case of athletes, like infected and horrible surgery and stuff like that.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Aw.
I had to add that.
Yeah. I mean, that would be. I don't know. Would you run in someone else's shoes?
I would in that situation. Oh, for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Really?
I feel like in high school
Yeah.
we did that all.
That's
That's like a little
true.
more common. You just like switch jerseys
Right.
and
That's true.
shoes.
Shoes like spikes and
Yeah,
stuff.
it's like whatever. At that moment, you don't really care.
Right. Like, you choose.
Better than running barefoot.
So let me ask you: would you rather run in somebody's shoes or somebody's singlet?
Ooh. Ooh.
Are they all the
Yeah.
same size?
You'd be all
Yeah,
the same
so they
size.
all fit.
They all fit.
Okay.
And you have to pick one or the other. Like if you don't pick the singlet, you don't have shoes.
No, just one of the
Oh,
other.
okay.
That's a good one. Oh,
I would go.
I'd go singlet.
Yeah, I'm gonna go singlet too.
I would absolutely go singlet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
If I had to choose.
Right.
But in that situation, I would have taken the shoes. Everyone.
Yeah.
Right. I guess this is like a couple of different. Like if they're like a really like they did a really vigorous warm up in the
Yeah.
singlet. I don't know if it would.
I should have said that. That should have been. That should have
A
been a
very
condition.
sweaty.
Like it's
After the
super
warm up,
sweaty.
would you choose the shoes or would you choose the singlet?
I'm still going singlet.
Yeah,
I am too,
yeah,
I am too.
It's still a little less funky than shoes, for sure. So, have you done any races that are like not local that maybe you've had to fly to or like drive to?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you've
Pretty
been all
much
over the
most of
place,
my
right?
races
Yeah.
are either, let's see, so I've done two in Scotland, Edinburgh, that's where it was, El Salvador, Trinidad, and then like West Coast, California,
Yeah.
Oregon.
So you
So you-
travel for races a lot.
Yeah.
Do you have any like hot tips for folks?
Yeah, there's definitely an art to traveling. It takes some getting used to and planning, lots of planning. So
Yeah.
pre-travel, I like to scope out like places to run, maybe some restaurants and grocery stores that will be near where we're staying, just to take away some of that stress so that when you get there, you're not scrambling to try and figure out, oh, where am I going to do a shakeout or where am I going to
Right.
go for a run or I need a Gatorade or whatever. So it just kind of takes away some of that stress to just be prepared ahead of time. And like you mentioned too, like having a local running store, I've
Yeah.
needed that before.
Yeah.
When I brought spikes, but I didn't have spikes to go in. So
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like,
That's
I
happened
need
too.
some. Pre-travel as well, you know, I like to pack foods that are familiar, you know, with myself that I
Oh,
know
yeah.
work well for me. So like
Yeah.
Justin's almond butter packets or like bagels, like simple foods that I know that I'll need.
Right.
Yeah.
I know that when we did, my wife ran the Chicago Marathon, and we didn't do that. So I remember looking around for like places that we usually eat, like a Starbucks or
Right.
like a
Something familiar.
Yeah, something familiar. So like I know, like okay, if I go to Starbucks, that bagel is gonna be the same bagel
Right.
that I'll get at the Starbucks here. So I know it'll work.
Mhm.
So she was like, because she was in a panic, and I was like, "There's a Starbucks downstairs.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we'll get you a bagel."
Yeah.
'cause it gets stressful. I mean, it's stressful. Just you're going to race, and that can raise your anxiety level. You don't want anything else to
Yeah.
add to that.
Try and eliminate as much stress beforehand as possible. I pack a ton of food. You can ask anyone on my team. I have a massive bag of food that I bring usually on the plane. But I always get really hungry when I travel,
I
and if I
bet.
don't eat, I'm gonna
Yeah.
crash and burn. So
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
plan ahead in that sense.
And airplane food is not very good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't-
Yeah.
I tend to find that I dehydrate when I'm on an airplane. I think you actually do. So
Yeah.
you've got to take care of your fluids too.
You
So.
want to make sure you're drinking more than just water, so either some sort of like fruit juice or ginger ale or something else to give you a little sugar and a little bit, you know, extra electrolytes, something other than water that'll just kind of like flush you out, so you can alternate your drinks. in
That's
that
a
sense.
that's a hot tip.
Mhm.
I like that.
I like to try and stick to routine as much as possible,
Yes,
but
yes,
control
yes.
what you can control, but then be flexible with the rest, because there's always something that kind of goes wrong or not as expected. So you kind of have to be able to roll with that and not let that completely, you know, derail everything.
Right.
You just have to.
Do you have like a routine when you're like packing stuff? Like okay, the race day stuff
Yeah.
goes here,
Mhm.
this goes here.
Yeah, definitely. It's
Yeah.
laid out. I like to make sure I check things multiple times.
Yeah.
And a huge You know, one thing that I always do is pack my uniform and spikes or flats, depending on what race, in my carry-on
In your
backpack.
carry-on, I was gonna ask you about
Because
that.
you never know if your bag gets lost, at least you're prepared for race day.
Right, that's what I had put down as
Total,
like an
yeah.
emphasis on that race day gear. So
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the most important
make
piece,
sure
if
you-
nothing else, as long as you have your uniform and your shoes.
right, you could wear those around
All
the
day.
whole weekend.
You could have that on when you're in
Yeah.
your airplane, your singlet and your
I forgot
flats.
that was my clothes. But I
Hey,
got-
I'm racing in a couple of days, so I've got my uniform on. But no, can you imagine, you know, if you pack it in and, you know, your bag, you're going to San Francisco and your bag goes to Pittsburgh, you're in trouble.
Right.
Yeah,
Right?
that happened to one of our teammates out when I went to Edinburgh in Scotland. Her bag never made it, but luckily she had her uniform and everything in her bag. So.
I guess you could always buy some other clothes
Yeah,
if you're
right.
if you
Right.
have the means, of course. But it's tough to
It's just easy to be prepared.
yeah.
You know,
be ready to go.
just better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Always be prepared.
Yes.
Right.
Awesome. So do you have a routine, Ray, if you travel? Do you have like a little like ritual you do with your packing?
I just try to start a little bit earlier, because
Yeah.
generally if I'm going for pleasure, I will, you know, I usually am a last minute person as far as that's concerned. But if I'm gonna run a race, right, or I plan on running, at my destination, for sure, I take a little more time, you know what I mean? Start a little bit earlier, have my list, deal with that stuff, the things that I'm gonna use for running, and, yeah.
Right.
Yep.
I'd say too, like if you're traveling for like say it's not like a super far away race, and you are lucky enough to have like your bib number beforehand, I always pin that thing on to the singlet as soon as I can. Because another one of the folks on socials had said that they forgot their bib number for the race. So like they picked it up the day before
Yeah.
and then got there and didn't have it.
Yeah.
So like as soon as I get it, I put on that singlet and then like lay out all the clothes
Right.
and ready to go.
I have a story about that too. In high school, my high school teammate, we were at the Foot Locker regional championships, so the race was to qualify for Foot Locker's
Yeah, the
national
big
championship.
national one, yeah.
And my teammate, she was definitely going to be right there in the top 5 or so, and she forgot her bib. We were on the starting line, the gun went off. She was like,
my God.
oh my gosh. Her dad ends up meeting her at the mile marker, the first mile, and he just like tosses it to her. She catches it, like pins it on, and ends up, I think she won the race.
She actually pinned it
she
on. She
pinned
just
it
carried
on
it
in
in
the
her
race.
I would have just held it in my hand. That's amazing.
She went on to either win, but I know that she made it to Foot Lockers, and it was just like really
Unbelievable.
wild, that panic.
Like, oh my
oh,
God.
no, I don't have my bib.
Yeah.
So,
It's crazy.
yeah.
That's, I mean, it's impressive that her dad like,
I know.
realized that.
Yeah, it
It's
was like holding it.
oh,
It's like,
no.
oh my gosh.
Jeez, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So-
unbelievable.
So yeah, make sure you get
Pin
that
it
bib
on.
number. Yeah, get that bib number on there for sure.
Pin it right on.
Jeez. So any other like pre-travel tips?
I'd say more like if you're on a plane or if you're taking a longer car ride, I try and get up like once an hour
Oh,
for like 10 minutes to just move around, do some stretches, just stand, flush out the legs, because I personally, like if I sit too long, things just get really locked up and
Yeah.
really tight, and then I feel pretty bad. So it's just better to get up and walk around. And even with car drives, I know it's annoying to like stop, but you should stop and walk
Move
around a
around,
little
yeah,
bit
stretch it
and
out.
just stretch.
Get the blood flowing.
Yeah,
a little bit.
take that extra 10 minutes or whatever and make sure you're moving around.
Yeah, makes
Yeah.
sense to me.
Mhm.
Do you bring like any like foam rollery type stuff or like
Oh, yeah.
massagey stuff?
Yep,
Like, just
definitely.
in case.
I bring my orb, a lacrosse ball, some bands, R3, roll recovery R3.
Oh
That's
yeah,
that's
one's
it. Like
good.
comes with me pretty much everywhere I go.
Gotcha. And those things are like kind of easy to
Yeah,
pack.
a small.
Yeah.
Yep.
They have
throw
like
that right in.
like travel sized massage implements.
Yeah. Fit
Yeah.
right in your
Yeah.
carry-on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Awesome. And then like, so if you were like booking, say you had to do this all yourself and you had to book a hotel, how far in advance? Like I like to give myself like at least like a day or two on either end of the race just to be like there and like comfortable. What do you think? Do you do like at least
Yeah.
like a day or two?
Yeah. I usually do 2 days out. I'll arrive at wherever the race is.
Yeah.
So then you have a full day to just kind of, the full next day to kind of relax,
Right.
run, sleep, whatever, and then get ready for race day.
Yeah,
And I
so
usually
you've got
leave
like
the
a
day.
day where you can
Yeah.
like get there, get situated in your
It's
hotel.
like a day of travel, day of relaxing, and then race
Race
day.
day,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
The weather conditions or climate might be something that you'll have to get acclimated
For sure.
to.
Oh, that's true.
Or
yeah.
altitude might
Mhm.
be something, although,
Or if there's a big time difference, so like if you're traveling across
Yeah.
seas,
Right.
a lot of times there's a 5-6 hour time
Right.
difference, so you kind of have to adjust to that as well.
Yeah, that can be tough, man.
Mhm.
right,
I've never done any. I don't think I've done any races where I've had to like adapt to the like environment, like the altitude or maybe the time zone a little
Yeah.
bit. But like I can't imagine having to like travel to a race and have it be at altitude
Mhm.
and then be like sucking wind the whole time.
some people do that, I
It's
mean,
gonna be
maybe
rough.
Yeah,
travel out to
that's a
Denver,
challenge.
or, you know,
Yeah, we had that.
Salt Lake
That's
City.
what happened in college. Our national meet was in Pueblo, Colorado, and that was at I think just under 5,000 feet. So that was a huge adjustment.
It seemed
It's a
un-
huge
It was,
adjustment,
it
it
was
really
honestly a little bit,
It
Yeah.
seemed unfair.
yeah,
but that was
right, exactly, it does seem unfair.
Like, what about the people
But-
who would, like live there?
right.
Yeah,
But in those situations, you just have to be able to adjust and know, like, okay, the times are gonna be a little bit different, or I need to run like 10 seconds slower per lap, or you
Right.
just have to have a plan going in,
Yeah.
like how you're gonna approach the race.
Got it. That's cool.
Yeah.
So you give yourself like 2 days on the front end.
Yeah.
And then I like to give myself like a little bit of time at the
Yeah,
end
to
enjoy the
enjoy.
city or
Yeah.
whatever. If it's like
Right.
a new spot. Like I remember when we did Chicago, I can't remember how long we stayed, but we gave ourselves like a couple of days after, and it was cool to like explore the city and
Yeah.
like
That's so nice. A nice way to celebrate the race and
Yeah.
start your downtime off of running.
right. And if you're traveling for like a marathon or something, you probably don't want to travel the day of or day after.
yeah,
Give
it's not
yourself a
necessarily a
little bit
good
of
thing
time.
physically to travel, if you
Right.
do a marathon to travel, like by airplane,
Right.
you know, right after the race, I mean. And getting in a car or something and traveling a good distance
Tough.
after a marathon,
Yeah.
jeez.
Yeah.
Traveling after no matter what's kind of
Right,
Yeah,
rough.
I remember I
Very
did
beat up.
I did the Boston Marathon, and then my wife and I were going to go on vacation like the day after to Maine, and then we went, finished the race,
Got
and
in the car.
got in the car and drove for like 6 hours, and it
You have
was
to
like,
roll out of the car.
the first, the first bathroom stop, you just kinda like rolling out of the car.
yeah, that was a rough one for sure. So I think, let's see, let's take a little break. We talked a little bit about like the travel stuff. We'll take a little break, we'll come back, and then we'll talk about kind of like getting there and then the after the fact type of thing. Cool.
Sounds good.
Back, and we're talking about traveling specifically for races. We touched a little bit about like kind of the booking your hotels and all that fun stuff and the pre-race stuff. Now, when you get there, do we check out like the race course and like do that type of stuff? It's tough to do with like a marathon to familiarize yourself with
Right.
the course, obviously. But sometimes I like to go and like at least look at the map at the expo, like that type of stuff. Anybody do that ever? Right.
I think it's good to see the course a little bit anyway, just
Yeah.
kind of takes some of the edge off. Certainly if it's a long race, you're not gonna be able to go and do the whole thing, but it's just, I think being in that area and checking it out, kind of like helps take the edge off. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, day before the race, if it's a cross country course, I'll usually go to the course and try and at least run it, all of it, if not part of it. But yeah, if it's like a longer road race, typically you'll just find somewhere flat and cool to go run.
Right.
But yeah, it's definitely important to at least check out a map and just kind of know what to expect
Yeah.
in the race. So be prepared in that sense. If you can't necessarily get to the course, then
Yeah.
look at a map.
Right, and I found too, this is another area where like runners are like super friendly. You can always like,
Yes.
if you know somebody's run the race before, you can always talk to them
Yeah.
and try to like at least get an idea of like, okay, is there a hill at mile 2 or like do I have to look out for like,
Right.
you know, a really steep hill at the end or whatever. So yeah, talk to folks, you know, when you get to like the expo, maybe you talk around, like gab with other runners and figure out what the course looks like.
Yeah.
So you talked a little bit about like the flying afterwards is rough, right? Do you have any like tips for like flying before or after the race?
So you mean like the day
Yeah, when you get there, or like
Yeah.
when you're say you're coming home too. Like I've run my marathon, my legs are real sore, even though it's been like 2 days. Any like tips for
Yeah.
when I'm on the plane?
I always wear compression socks on the plane,
Yeah.
to and from. I think that helps a lot with just like swelling, tight muscles and all that. I find
Yeah.
that I come off traveling a lot better when I wear them. So that's definitely something you can do, as well as just hydrate. Drink a lot of water, a lot of electrolytes. Again, get up and stretch as much as you can. Walk around a little bit.
I usually get the foam roller
Yep.
in the aisle.
People love that.
Move it.
People love it.
Yeah.
Hey, come on, I'm rolling out here. I don't care about the bathroom.
Yeah, so I usually hit that up on the airplane. No, I'm just but yeah, so those are good. So like flush the legs out,
Yeah.
make sure that you're moving around. When you are at the race, right? Say this happened to me when I did I did like the Hood to Coast race, and I ended up getting like a bunch of stuff. Like I had a medal, I had like T-shirts that maybe don't fit into my luggage.
I always try and so the foam roller, sometimes there's an empty space in the middle. I'll stuff things in the middle.
Ooh, I like that. How
Or if
about
they give you a
foam
cup,
Yeah.
I'll stuff my socks in the cup and then.
Oh, all right.
So there's ways you can.
So there's like some little
pack it
tricks to
in.
packing in.
Yeah.
All right, I like it, and that's good for going out or coming
Yeah.
home.
Or just wear more clothes and then.
That's a good idea.
You can
Yeah.
do that. Or just wear all the swag they give you and look
Yeah.
cool on the plane.
Just wear
You
it.
get stories to tell.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, I like that. That's a good packing tip. The foam roller.
The foam
I like
roller,
that.
that's key. 'Cause
That
that
is-
saves a
yeah.
lot of space.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. Just jam it right in there. That's
Roll it
awesome.
Yep, just roll things.
That's great.
I was curious about, Katie, in all the locations that you've been to,
Yep.
say you just walking around town, going to get a bite to eat, or warming up, do you ever worry about security? Do you ever worry about safety and that kind of thing? And if so, what do you do? You know, what are some tips? You know?
Yeah, the only time, I've really ever felt not unsafe, but that we were given warning was traveling to other countries. So
Yeah.
El Salvador in particular, we had police escorts with us the entire trip. And that was a Team USA event, so they
Okay.
kind of make sure everyone's taken care of. And there were pretty strict rules in that you couldn't walk around, you couldn't leave the premises of the hotel at all. And, and if you had to, usually a coach or someone would have to go and do that. So again, that's a scenario where ahead of time I was very prepared.
Right.
I
So you
packed
did that.
everything I needed or that I knew I would need, bars, breakfast foods. Because that's another issue when you travel to another countries, you don't always know the food situation,
Yeah.
what they'll be giving you, or
what
yeah,
sits well in your stomach.
exactly.
Right,
you know?
exactly.
So that's where I'm like, all right, I got my bananas,
Yeah.
almond butter, bagels, whatever I need. That at least for race day, I know I'll be okay.
Yeah.
So you just have to plan ahead.
Yeah.
But I would say typically, I haven't always, I've never really felt unsafe.
Cool.
Aside from
Just that one
abroad
situation.
situations, yeah. Mhm.
Right. Would you check out I don't know, when you warm up, do you ever like check out the neighborhood and make sure it's like, in a good area? Because I remember I did, not to speak badly of Hartford, Connecticut, but I did like the Hartford half marathon, and I was doing my warm up, and it was kind of in like a seedy
Yeah.
area where I ended up, and I was a little bit like, all right, well, I don't want to go that way.
Right.
Warming up.
Yeah, you definitely
know?
have to be aware of your surroundings. I usually try and warm up, kind of like see where other runners are going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of times, if you're
Yeah.
unfamiliar with the area, and
Yeah.
just kind of follow along in that sense. But yeah, certainly be aware of your surroundings
Right.
and
Yeah, because I know that like even just not for safety or whatever, it's good to know like where you're running.
right.
You
Yeah.
get familiar with
Mhm.
with the spot, And maybe you're running and you'll see like a cool local restaurant that you want to hit up, and you can stop by there after.
Yeah.
So I always like to take either the day before and do like a nice warm up, either on the course if I can do it, or like nearby just to like
Yeah, find a good trail or something like that. Yeah.
definitely check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when we talked a little bit about like acclimating to like the climate or whatever, is there like a packing strategy to like, say you're in, I don't know, Rhode Island and it's like 80 degrees, but you're traveling to like Antarctica to
Iceland.
Iceland to that's something to think about too. You gotta be prepared for that, like climate change.
Yeah, you might be going from sub-zero temperatures here in the Northeast down to El Salvador. You know? So yeah, you've got to be ready for that.
And that's something, you can start to think about well in advance. Just, for me, like when I get into those really hot climates like El Salvador, Trinidad, I really struggle with electrolytes for some reason. I just feel like I can't get enough in, so I bring like salt packets and stuff like that. I also bring like a lunch box where I can stuff ice into it and extra washcloths, and I dip that in like ice water and just wrap it around my neck, like the whole morning while I'm warming up, all that stuff, just like keep your body cool.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of little tricks like that to be prepared for like an extreme climate change.
Right. Yeah. I think the preparation is the main thing.
Yeah,
that's the
Being
key.
ready to
exactly.
rock.
Yeah, knowing how your body responds to certain climates and just doing the best you can ahead of time to prepare for that. And also like a few days out, like start alternating electrolyte drinks with water. Every other drink, make it an electrolyte drink.
Yeah.
So that when you're getting to the race, you're not already dehydrated from travel or whatever.
Right. Yeah. I think
You
a lot
can
of
start
folks.
that process.
Yeah, a lot of folks will wait until they're like
Right.
thirsty to drink,
Yeah.
and then you're kind of in trouble.
Right.
Gotta stay on top of it. Do you have like a certain amount of liquids you consume?
I don't
It's just
really
like-
keep track of it.
just
I
keep
just
going?
kind of drink
Yeah.
all day.
Yeah.
I just try and make sure I alternate at least, so I'm not just flushing out my system with water only.
Right.
So, yeah.
I mean, Ray's got his Hydro Flask.
Yeah.
So
I've got my Hydro Flask right here.
that thing is
Let me turn that
what,
so
a
it's-
32 ouncer?
That's a 32 ouncer.
So how many of those
Good
you
to
knock
know.
back in a day?
In a day, about 18.
18 of
Yeah.
them?
No, I'm just kidding. A few. I try to anyway. There are days, some days I'm better than others.
Yeah.
But yeah,
For sure.
I want to stay on top of it.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta,
Good to
as a
stay on
runner, you gotta stay on top of that stuff.
Yeah.
I also had another tip that just it's on my notes, so I thought I'd mention it.
Yeah.
So like what I try to do when booking hotels is try to get a hotel that's relatively close
Yes.
to start finish line
Yeah.
area if
Yep.
possible.
Yep.
So if you can, like, see where the race start is on the little map, and then figure that address out, and then find a hotel that's within like a 2-mile radius of that, if possible.
So plan ahead.
Yep.
And, because it's good to roll right out and just,
I know, right?
just do your warm up.
You just do your warm up.
Right over at the starting line, right over
That's
to
it.
the starting line, and afterward, you just have to worry about that transportation. That's one more thing to have to deal with and worry about. So,
Definitely.
yeah.
Because I know, I think when we did the Philly Marathon, I think I ended up running like 35 miles because my stupid hotel was like
Oh, man.
3 or 4 miles away, and that was like,
Yeah.
so I ran from the hotel to the start to get to the start, get my stuff, and then ran the race, and then finished the
Oh.
race.
Had to run back.
And Christine, my wife, was running, so I went back to the hotel, ran back to the hotel, because I had never run a marathon before, and I thought, like, whatever, I could do this. I've been running my whole life, no
Yeah.
problem. And so I ran back to the hotel. I had like a little bit of time, and so I got her stuff, because we didn't do the bag check thing, because I thought, oh, I can run 30 miles, whatever. And so I ran back to the hotel. I was exhausted. I wanted so bad to just take a
lay
nap
down.
behind the
I
bed.
know.
I was like, how long can I wait
Maybe
here
I'll just
before
lie down
I
for
have
5
to go?
minutes.
Yeah. And so I got her stuff, and then I like ran back to the finish line, she finished, and then she was smart and ended up getting a cab back to the hotel. And I was like, oh man, I should have done that. But yeah, definitely, like, if you can get, the closer you can get to that finish line, the better.
Or try and schedule like Ubers or Lyfts ahead of
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
So you can schedule those. So
See, that's something I don't know.
You
I
know?
didn't know you could do that.
Did you carry
Jump
that money
bikes?
with you? You could like put it in your shoe or pin it to inside your shorts or something?
That's another hot tip. Yeah.
Maybe just keeping a $20 bill somewhere,
yeah,
zip it in.
right in the shoe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just to have a little extra.
I like
So you can pull a Rosie Ruiz like
Oh, yeah.
if you need to get a cab to bring it to
Yeah.
the finish line, right? So no.
We're
Something
not-
to think
We don't
about.
advocate cheating.
No, we don't. But seriously, might have a little extra money to, if you need
That's true.
cab fare.
Yeah.
So,
Although nowadays you can pay for stuff with your watch.
Yeah.
right, exactly.
Isn't that
That's a good
nuts?
thing.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Yeah. I bought groceries the other day. I was like, booping. Nuts. Any other hot tips, Katie, for traveling for a race?
I'd say, I guess, overall, the theme seems to be just be prepared ahead of time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Search things out, a few days out, make sure you've got everything you need, know where things are. And then, yeah, just really try and, I think a big thing is just sticking to your routine. So like on race day specifically, do what you do. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Don't worry about what
yes.
other people are doing, how fast someone else is warming up, whatever. Just do what is familiar with yourself.
Right.
Um,
And that's like not
Yeah.
just like the running part, like the eating,
Yeah.
the like warming up,
yeah,
the like
if you need to nap,
if
go
you
nap.
take a shower before
Yeah.
your race, take a shower. If
Yeah.
you need to nap, nap. Make sure you're doing like the usual thing.
Right.
And then, as you were saying, like when you are actually racing too, don't get caught up in the whole like atmosphere
Right.
of the thing. If you're trying to hit like a time, unless you're like there to just enjoy it and have
Right,
fun,
then
then
take it
get
in,
caught up
yeah.
in it and have a blast. But if you're there to like run a specific time, don't get like sucked out by the crowd. Just run your race
And even
do
with
your thing.
pre-race expos and stuff like that, like definitely pop in, hang out for a little bit, but maybe give yourself a time limit so that you're not spending hours walking around on your feet ahead of time and expending a ton of energy.
Right.
You've put a lot of effort into your training, so
Yeah.
you want to see that result on race day. So just be mindful of that as well.
Yeah.
Maybe cut yourself off after a little bit.
That makes
Go
sense.
take a nap, put your
Yeah.
feet up.
And don't try any crazy samples.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't do
Don't
anything,
do
yeah,
that.
don't try anything
Yeah.
new.
Not a time to try
Samples or anything like that.
No.
Save those for afterward,
Yes.
if you want to. Yeah.
Cool. Any other tips, Ray?
It just try to enjoy yourself too. Enjoy it. I mean, you go through all this preparation, and just try to take it in and have fun with it and enjoy it during and after if you can. During is kind of tough, especially if you're competing and you're trying to hit a certain time. Sometimes you get in the zone and you really want to try to have some fun with it. That's why I always like the idea of having a day or two afterward.
Yes.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So you don't have to travel and put that stress on your body, but so you can kind of relax and enjoy wherever you are, So
Yeah.
that's like,
You can be focused for the race, and then afterwards you can know that you have time to
yeah.
Yes.
relax
Exactly.
a little. And
Yeah. You don't have to be curled up in a car
Right, exactly.
for like 6 hours, cramping up like crazy. Oh, goodness. All right, well, that was a fun episode.
It was a lot of
Thanks for
fun.
having me.
Yeah, thanks, Katie, for coming
Katie.
on.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, I guess we'll see y'all next week for episode 29.
So 29, getting up there.